You have a big vote coming up sometime in the near future, particularly when you go back in session on the debt ceiling,
That's
either
right.
raising the debt ceiling or not raising the debt ceiling. What is going to trigger your vote? If something happens, you vote for it, or are you adamantly opposed to raising the debt ceiling no matter what?
I'm a no right now. I understand what a big deal it is. I have studied it extensively. I've read the policy commentary on it. I've read the political commentary on it. I've heard what Secretary Geithner and the president's spokesperson have said about it. I've also listened to a lot of Arkansans about it. I am a no right now. And I've been thinking through as we start to approach that date of when we're going to hit the limit. I've been thinking through of what's it going to take for me to vote yes. Because I understand that we have to pay our bills and we have to live within our means. I understand also that we have a debt crisis separate from the ceiling. Just the fact that we've got so much debt is a crisis on the horizon as well. So what I want to do is I want to get some structural, substantive changes agreed to by the President and the Senate so that we can know that we're going to take that spending curve that's skyrocketing upward and start bending it down so that we can see some end to this mess. And whether that comes in the form of spending caps, whether it comes in the form of a balanced budget amendment plus spending caps, I haven't decided specifically yet. And the reason is I don't want to agree to something that's easily undone. Whatever I agree to needs to have teeth so that we know that the President is not going to just ignore it or the Congress is not going to just ignore it a year or two down the road. So I am working through that process now, but I can tell you I see this as an opportunity to get the attention of the President. And the reason I say that, he put a budget, his first budget, before he took a mulligan on his budget, he had his first budget. It did nothing to deal with the drivers of the debt. Nothing. Nothing. And so I want to see that he gets it. He took a mulligan after the House budget came out, and he tried again. I still don't think he gets the urgency that I feel. And I tell people, I think it's a good point to make. I tell people every day when I talk about the debt, I'm not, a one note guy, but our house is on fire. And if I think it's a 10 crisis on a scale of 1 to 10, and my constituents think it's a 3, then they're not going to understand why I'm so focused on it. And so that's why I talk about it, to tell people, and I believe it is a jobs issue. Don't let anyone tell you that jobs is separate from the debt. If we don't deal with the debt, we're going to have massive job losses. If we want to be the innovative job-creating engine that America has historically been, we better deal with the debt, or we're never going to be there. We're going to have a lower standard of living for my kids versus what we grew up with. So the debt is a jobs issue. The debt is a national security issue. Our house is on fire, and we have got to deal with it now. A lot of people talk about waiting till we get a Senate who's more interested in cutting and getting the debt under control, till we get a president. They're talking about 2012. The problem is I don't think we can wait. I think that we are on such a short fuse that I don't think we can just say, well, we'll take care of this after we see what the next round of elections bring us. If we kick it that far, I am scared that it will be too late.
You mentioned the president by name. He made a little bit of news earlier this week. First of all, he released his birth certificate to satisfy some critics who have questioned his birth of origin. At the same time, in the same day, same news cycle, he also named a new CIA director and a new Secretary of Defense. What was the bigger news story of that day to you?
Well, the defense and CIA aspect. I have never questioned where this president was born. And so that was not an issue for me.
Do you think he satisfied the critics?
You're always going to have people that you don't satisfy. But look, we have much, much bigger issues to be dealing with. And did I mention the debt?
You did.
And you mentioned CIA and Department of Defense. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs testified in front of our committee, and he'll tell you, and did tell us, that the debt is the number one threat facing this country. So whether you're talking jobs, whether you're talking economy, financial system, the dollar, whether you're talking how we purchase energy, whether you're talking national security, it all relates to the debt.
You mentioned some people kicking the can down the road, waiting to the 2012 elections. We are obviously going to have a major presidential election. Do you have someone that you think you support now for the GOP nomination for president, or who do you put your money on to maybe get that nomination? Is that the same question?
I am going to be fully engaged with regard to the presidential election. I have not made that decision yet. I'm going to wait till everybody gets in. It's a little bit early. Most Americans, if you're not political junkie, like maybe some of us are, most Americans aren't real concerned about that. They're worried about gas prices, vacations, storms, whatever. But I'm going to be very engaged on that. I believe it's important. I believe I ought to be involved with it. It has a lot to do with the direction of our country. And so I will be getting involved, just not yet. And I'm watching what's going on. Our neighbor next door, Haley Barbour, decided not to run. And so you're going to have people deciding not to run. You're going to have new people getting in. Mm-hmm. You're going to have the ones that are already in stay in. Maybe some of them get out. I don't know. But I'll be watching that closely. I'm very interested in it.
You have said, too, back in your campaign, and you've said it since you've been in office, too, that this whole nation's top agenda item is jobs, jobs, jobs. Mm-hmm. Point to me one thing that you think you have done since you've been in office for the last 3 or 4 months that you think has addressed that agenda item.
Sure. Only one?
You only get one.
Well,
pick your best shot.
I would say the number one thing that we're doing is getting our spending under control to deal with the debt. The debt is going, if we have a debt crisis, it is going to be a job killer in a way that we haven't seen maybe in a long, long time, maybe in my lifetime. I think it'll make September 2008 look minor when we had our financial meltdown. The other thing is there's a lot of money that will go into creating jobs from investors that is on the sidelines, both foreign and domestic. Because a lot of people are waiting to see if we act like an adult country, put our big boy pants on and deal with this crisis, this debt issue. And they're waiting to decide whether they're going to invest and whether we're the safe bet that we've always been. We've been the rock. This country has been the rock financially and economically. And a lot of people are waiting to see whether we, at this decisive moment, whether we deal with our debt problem and spending problem like adults, or do we punt and fail? And that's going to be a huge decisive moment for this country. So I think all the stuff that we've done to cut spending, and we've certainly voted to repeal Obamacare, which I think helps business. We repealed the 1099 requirement, which particularly impacts small business. So a lot of stuff like that we've done. But overall, I think dealing with our spending problem and dealing with and fighting tax increases is the best thing that we're doing for job creators.